And so we've been talking about the Apple and the mice and power struggles between us and our devices. And it is quite interesting that the Mac has really ruled when it comes to content creation, and the Adobe suite, I feel, has really ruled in that realm of software. So the two coming together, the Mac with its user interface, with the high-end graphics ability, along with the software that Adobe created, that's been a pretty good combination for content creators. And so Windows has always been played second fiddle to that industry, and Adobe didn't bring their suite to Windows right at first. It was definitely fostered in the Mac OS environment and that graphical user interface. So the marriage between Mac and Adobe suite has longer. That marriage has started earlier, lasted longer. I've always monitored the relationship kind of from a distance between Apple and Adobe, and knowing that it was a little bit of a symbiotic relationship between the two. You know, you will provide the hardware, you provide that software, and we'll sell together. You know, we'll sell more Macs, you sell more creative suites, and so Windows has always played catch up. The versions of the versions of the Adobe Creative Suite have first been documented in books and manuals on the Mac platform, and it's kind of a secondary thing to download and install your Creative Suite on a Windows machine. So it's there. You know, you can download and install Creative Suite on Windows, but it's always kind of been a secondary release, it seems. And what's ironic is there's much more Windows computers out there than Mac. So obviously Adobe thought that their sweet spot was right there with the Mac owners of the Mac, Mac owners. So
yeah, my aunt, she's a graphic designer, and has been for 20 some odd years or so, maybe even longer. Anyways, she's always had a Mac, and
okay,
and then I've had friends that have had Macs that are media based, and I can understand with the graphics of Apple's, that since they're more graphically inclined, they have more of the media following than a PC. I think the difference between a Mac and a PC is Macs have the more media friendly followers, and the PC has more of the cerebral followers, the code writers. I think they usually follow into the PC lifestyle.
yeah. Developers, the development community, the programming community, Microsoft has worked very, very hard at cultivating that on the Windows platform, catering to creating tools that they would use, developers would use. So I think programmers have experienced a little better courtship with their suitor, Microsoft, than has developers with Mac. I think it just seems like well, for one reason, there's just more Windows devices out there. And so that might be the reason for the better courtship. Anyone who's going to create a product, create a software application, they're going to look towards the platform that has more units out there. So just for the fact that there's more Windows units out there, and it all originated with DOS and all that way back when, that obviously fosters a relationship when the number of devices out there far outnumbers the others. So programmers are going to come to Windows and say, hey, we want to get our software on you. And so there's more software that's been created for the Windows environment than there has been for the Mac. So Mac has always been really controlling of their OS and of even the development user environment. And I never felt like Mac really tried hard in catering to the development community so much. I thought that they're more, they're just interested in particular apps being running on their computer, but not all apps. And I don't know the real history behind that, but it seemed like maybe it's just the number of devices out there, but distribution of software, Apple has gotten into that. I think is iTunes or their whole area for distributing software and downloading software. They wanted to control that, and so that's kind of a new thing, trying to control the distribution of software and using your vendors and having your app registered with your, going through the proper channels of registering your app. So they really are trying to get into that, controlling the distribution of software. In fact, it's all that mentality, I think, that impacted the Steve Jobs. Or Steve Jobs had that same focus when he was like, no, I don't want to foster Flash development on my devices. I don't want to foster that by enabling that Flash player. That's not part of my plan. I want you guys to distribute and develop your software directly, raw through our tools. And I want you to, I don't want to have any other delivery framework for getting apps onto my devices other than through the App Store. And Flash really presented another way of getting functionality on the Apple devices, bypassing the Mac store, the App Store. So that was one of the reasons he kind of like, no, that doesn't work. He said it's buggy, it's slow, it's proprietary, it's old. I kind of get that, but frankly, HTML5 and CSS3 hadn't and still haven't truly caught up to the functionality that the Flash player allows for. So, it was a little premature that he kind of cut that off. That was like 4 years ago. Then he said, this doesn't really work. So it created definitely a relationship, kind of a little bit of a division there between Adobe and Apple. I kind of watched that develop because obviously no hardware sells unless you have software to run on it. And so here Apple is kind of snubbing their nose at some of the software apps that are in the vendor, Adobe, one of the top providers of software for their computers, and he's kind of thumbing his nose at them and saying, basically saying stuff that didn't tell the full story. The fact is he wanted to control that. He wanted to distribute that. So, people bought it, and it's interesting. Steve Jobs is so transparent. They're so not transparent, but just out in the open in public. There was such a public face to Steve Jobs, and he represented a lot in just his image. There was nothing to compete with that. No person could compete with that over at Adobe to have the mindset that Steve Jobs commanded, and so that battle was like lost. I think I may have shown this. That battle was lost before it began. You know, Adobe just said, "Yep, yeah, we're done." And it was just amazing that Flash.
Well, I mean, even still, with after you would think, somebody whoever the bigwig is now that took over Jobs's spot after he passed, you would think that some bigwig would be like, hey, you know, let's defer, you know, that way of his thinking and bring in more of the ability of using Adobe Flash and getting on the same playing field as Windows.
Yeah. Yeah. So you mean the person who followed Steve Jobs?
Yeah. Like, I mean, well, you know, Steve Jobs, of course, you know, he built up Apple and everything like that. But once you know he was gone, I would have thought that it would have, you know, done a 180 right then and there. You know.
Yeah. There was some momentum in the support of the Apple device, and yeah, I mean, Apple has gone through some very significant ups and downs.
Yeah, they've ever since he passed away, they've had some difficult growing pains. You know, even with the new Apple 7 phone, you know, the design aspects of that Apple phone is just ugly. I mean, you can't, you know, have your headphones in and charge your phone. You can't. I mean, there's just so many, and it looks like they dropped a lot in their stocks too. But you know, for the most part, their design, let alone their design aspects of just their phones alone, are pretty. It's pretty ugly.
Yeah. Yeah, this graph here shows the effect of Steve Jobs' effect over the past 6 or 4 years or so. Just crazy.
Yeah, it's crashed hard.
And you can see Adobe trying to rebrand itself with the code. See, Adobe Animate is just not even a blip.
Yeah, it's not even it has like a lifeline.
Yeah. So you can see they weren't able to transfer the interests of Adobe Flash into something else, Adobe Animate. So they keep having to refigure out their strategy. But so why do we teach you Adobe Animate? Well, Adobe Animate is obviously the follow-on to Adobe Flash Professional. So that's definitely an important part. Number one. Number two, it's probably one of the only tools out there that will generate animation code using like a timeline and a stage and graphical motion that will export to what can run in a browser, HTML and JavaScript. So where else are you going to find a tool that you can create tweens, that you've got a timeline, and that the export is going out to HTML and JavaScript. So some of the other tools that Adobe is developing are working in this direction. I've always wondered why Dreamweaver hasn't picked up. I really was just curious why they made they made the jump and they rebranded Adobe Professional, Flash Professional, into Adobe Animate, just to capture that. They got away from the Adobe Flash name. But what's ironic is that Dreamweaver itself is its own HTML editor and JavaScript editor. So I always have kind of watched for Adobe to pick up Dreamweaver and say, hey, Dreamweaver, we need you to step it up to be able to design, kind of introduce a timeline into it. Let's see you pick up on this editing mode. And so when we use Animate, we are only editing the JavaScript. See if I can get that to come up here. It's over here. You kind of lose stuff when you got 3 screens.
Yeah. Which one am I on? The left one, the vertical one, or the other horizontal one?
You're on my laptop right now.
Oh, yeah.
So what does this give us? And it gives us the ability to edit things like JavaScript actions, and it's not the you're not editing HTML in this, even though when we publish this, it's going to create a good sized HTML file plus a JavaScript file. What you do get to edit and control is the actions and the JavaScript that would be put in here. And we were talking last time about these different things that are available. Can you see the screen that says code snippets? Can you?
Yeah. That's fine.
That's what you see. Okay,
Yeah.
So this tool, Adobe Flash Professional, now Adobe Animate, gave us ability to incorporate our own JavaScript. And I meant to do on this one. As you can see, it's not fully developed as much as ActionScript. So ActionScript has many more entry points here that you can take advantage of, all these different behaviors. As you can see, this is it's a shorter list right now. I expect that future releases are going to have a longer list of entry points or actions of code. But this is where you can edit scripting. So and then also WebGL is its own. So this, when we do WebGL, and as you know, it's 2D and 3D manipulation, and it's very similar to what gets created here, but it's a different library altogether that it's going to incorporate. And the library is also a JavaScript library. And I'm just curious, I'm not expecting you, but do you happen to recall the name of the JavaScript library that Adobe Animate is currently? It's a JavaScript library that Adobe Animate takes advantage of and uses.
Yeah, you got it highlighted. It's the Create.
Very good. Oh,
yeah,
man.
I was like sitting there and I'm like, I remember it, and then I just as your arrow hit it, I'm like, yeah, I remember that.
You know what? I was hoping that you'd get that, and I'm so glad that rung a bell, because that's exactly it. It's Create.js. That's the library. The library here is WebGL, so it's kind of ironic we didn't call this Create.js up in here, because we did call this whole section after the name of the library that we're using down here, but not up here.
Yes. So apparently the person that designed that does not have OCD as bad as I do, because that would drive me nuts.
Yeah.
With them not matching.
Not
but
matching.
The other one is.
And and I am interested to know if let's just double check this. If we do create one that's based upon WebGL, and we do some sort of probably be very similar. You can see it says WebGL right there. Very similar type of thing that we're doing. So when you publish this, let's go look at the output. So file, see, it's already published. So file, save as. We'll look and see where it went on the desktop. It's called Untitled-2. Let's go look at the output on the desktop. And okay, I'm sure it said desktop. Let's try that again.
Yeah, I thought I saw it too.
Save as.
Don't look.
Let's see. I don't know if it needs me to ST. Huh. I'm going to go ahead and give it a new name, I guess. I'll save as WebGL file, publish. Go look at it. There it is.
There it is.
There.
Yeah.
And there's that right there. So you can see we got lives and then assets. What do you think this is? If you were to guess, what is that?
Well, it's that version. Like last week's.
Yep. That's good. You're right. Keep going.
Oh, it's last week's. It's like last week's JavaScript.
That's right.
On the creator.
That's right. It is a copy of the file that it copied down from that server, and they copied it locally so that it could be bundled here. When we publish the other one, the Canvas one, you'll see. Let's do file, save as. We'll call this one HTML. I can even do create.js. Let's call it create.js. That's the name of this. We'll just call it, and then we'll do a publish of this one and see what it creates. So that went ahead and published. 2 different template files to start with. I want to also open up this one in Dreamweaver also, and we'll see a correlation here. So here's the one that was generated for Create.js, and you can see what's different about how they're going and grabbing the Create.js library versus this one. What's different about, in general, high level, what do you see as a difference?
Well, the Create.js, that one does the when it was released.
Okay.
Or created like that, and then the WebGL, that just says that basically just says you just created it.
Okay.
That's how long it took to create it.
All right.
Publish it.
Okay. So this here, if I were to take this and copy it and go on the web page and see if I can bring a web page over here, and I copy it. What is this? What did it download here?
It downloaded the file that was released.
That's right. On that date. This is the release. They actually give it a date. The date that this particular release, in other words, on November 26, 2015, we released our product, and this is the one release. And it's been a year, and they haven't released another version. So that's okay. It's just important for us to realize that that date in there is, when we beautify it, then it introduces all the tabs and the carriage returns and everything. Now you can read it. Before it was just
It just jumbled all together.
Yeah. Whenever you see a .min in there, that means we're going to give you the sucked out version of this without any carriage returns, without any tabs, spaces, everything. We're going to suck it all up. And remember this, it saves about half the space. This thing is like twice as large had it gone with like this instead of the other. So here we are in Dreamweaver, and what this says is, when you load up this web page, and this is a web page, we want you to go grab a copy of that and go get it, just like we did, off the server and load it into the browser. So that's what it's saying. Go to this website and load it in the browser, this particular version of that file, and that's the last one that's been created. I remember we looked into it, and there's nothing newer since then. Now, the difference between that and here is saying, don't go to the website, the WebGL website, to get this. In fact, I'm going to go, when I publish this, I'm going to go get the copy of it, and I'm actually going to copy it locally, right in your folder. See right there? I'm going to copy it and put it in the Lives folder, and I'm going to put a copy here. So, in other words, instead of when this web page loads, it's just going to go grab it from the local Lives folder instead of going out to the website and pulling it in every time. This one, on the other hand, will. Every time I refresh this page, it's going to go grab that whole file and download it just by doing a refresh. Boom, 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 refresh. It goes and grabs it, goes and grabs it from the website. But here, if I refresh this web page, it's just pulling it in locally off the local hard drive, and so this would be a lot faster. They could have made it so that they went and got a copy and brought it down locally and put it in the Lives folder like this implementation. But the developers who developed this did not do that. They copy it down locally and put it in the folder. This one, they just leave it up there on that website and pull it in every time we refresh the web page. So that's one little difference. Now, one other difference I wanted to see is, so this is JavaScript right up in here. I'm interested to know if what is the compelling tag in HTML that enables HTML5 to begin to do drawing. What's the name of the tag, the HTML tag that was introduced with HTML5 that enables you to draw like on a stage, or draw on a do you know the name? Am I catching you?
Well, it's I want to say it's the canvas, because it's the blank screen, and
okay.
It's the,
okay, go with your gut.
It's the where you put the it's like a blank painter's canvas.
Yes, I think you're on the right track. So go with your gut on that. That's what your gut wants to say, and there it is, canvas. Now, see that? So this is the Create.js. The definitely you're right. Using a canvas, we can do drawing on a canvas. This is the new thing that was introduced with HTML5 that facilitates dynamic drawing. You're right, and that's kind of where it gets its name, right here. That's where that canvas comes from. But now use that same thinking, and let's go look at the output for the published output for the WebGL, and guess what?
There's no. Oh, there it is. Oh, but there's no real canvas.
Kind of looks like it's empty, but you can see canvas tag is there also. So the irony of it is WebGL uses canvas as well as this one. And you can see there's no width and height, but when you click on it, it appears to have a dimension to it. And then here it just talks about what it will say in case if you have an error and there's no WebGL support.
It'll see it. Okay.
What it will say. So,
with this WebGL though, with it saying required WebGL extension is not supported by your browser, that's basically saying that not all browsers support WebGL. So it's not a widely used it's not a widely used it's on the tip of my tongue.
Maybe a library? No.
Yeah. It's not a widely used library like HTML5 is. Is that right in reasoning or?
Yeah. Let's see. The WebGL. When you find out what browsers support it inherently, you can see a little bit of a history here. The support means what browsers support this and built in and allow for that. You can see it depends on what browser it is. And you can see WebGL has been implemented in Opera 11. WebGL has been enabled on all platforms that have a capable graphics card. So they're doing their best to support WebGL. You can see each of these browsers have begun supporting it at different times. But if this web page is browsed to, like if our web page was browsed to by somebody who had a version of the browser that predates these that support it, then the system would explain you don't have a browser. It would say this right here: your browser does not support WebGL.
Okay.
So but if it's this or later, you'd be good to go. The same thing goes for HTML5 and CSS3. It too has a set of browsers that see the browser support.
Yeah.
So likewise here, it too supports it. So.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's look at you've already started the assignment, am I right?
Yeah, I've started the assignment. I just have to move everything over to the stage into Animate.
All right, good. So tonight I thought we could spend some time working together and making sure everything working okay. Let's see, also tonight what I want to do is to work on the quiz, and let me see if I can get that to be viewable here. Okay. All right. So what I want to do is go over this quiz and help you prepare for it. And just thought we could go one question at a time to make sure that we're all on the same page in our understanding. So
Yeah, that's cool.
okay.
On the last test, I think I got a B or something like that.
Yeah, 80%, I think.
Yeah.
40
so I was,
out of 50.
yeah, I'm pretty okay with that.
Yeah. Well, what'd you get the first time you took it?
38.
Okay.
But I think what it was is I changed. There was that one question that we deferred.
Oh yeah.
And so I changed the answers on that. And that's what bumped up my score.
Okay.
But it makes it more difficult because even if if I was to see which ones I missed, I think I would know better where to look to get that information. But that's why I didn't know which ones I missed, so that leads into the second guessing
Yeah.
conundrum that I have. So
Yeah.
I had to do a lot of rereading on that because I was like, well, I thought that's what And then I had that issue with Animate not wanting to load properly.
Oh, how did that turn out?
I had to uninstall. I uninstalled everything and reinstalled the trial one until I could get I can use my code again.
Huh.
And so I got it back up running. But yeah, I couldn't look at it. I couldn't look at the Animate. So for reference, and that was when I first took it, and I guess that's what that was also an issue, is because I was trying to instead of looking at the videos, I wanted to play with the properties and the layers and stuff, so I could go from that, instead of watching the video. So
Right.
but I got it ironed out. So then now what I'm going to have to do is on Monday or Tuesday, my subscription ends on Monday. And so I'm going to have to re-clean all of the Adobe off of the computer again, and then reinstall everything with the new redemption code. So that ought to be entertaining.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting that you're gonna have to start over. I think you said you have the trial version right now.
Yeah, I've got the trial version right now for the next couple of days. I figured I might as well do that and have something than nothing. So.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, so it was a whole big gigantic mess on Saturday. And I don't know why it just decided to take a crap right then and there on that day, but I guess it thought I needed some more entertainment.
Yeah. Huh. That's a nice way of putting it.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you got to get your stuff done, and you got other stuff to do this weekend, so we're gonna crash. And you're gonna have to figure out how to do it.
I'm just really grateful that uninstall and reinstall was able to get you back into a good spot.
Yeah, I was really happy when it worked. Just because I wanted to turn in my stuff properly. Instead of just hodgepodging it together. Um, and so I wasn't really happy with that. And then, uninstalling and reinstalling it worked. So, I was thrilled that I got to at least turn in my stuff like it was it was asked for. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was just a big gigantic mess on Saturday.
Yeah, yeah. I felt bad that you had to go through all that.
Well, it was just I was at tech support as early in the morning as possible, and then when he said he couldn't help me, I'm like, I'm gonna cry. I'm like, no, don't have time for this.
Yeah, and I kind of felt like I was the bearer of bad news. Where I said, "Guess what? I think it's time to uninstall the entire suite."
Yeah, he just had to kick me while I was down on that one too. Hey, while you're down there,
Here's the real reality you've got to face right now.
yeah, here's your reality, the actual, what you're really going to be facing.
Yeah, yeah. You think you're down now, but you're not.
Yeah. Once you stop crying, we can proceed.
Yeah, it's like, would you get over it? Come on.
Yeah, suck it up. Let's go.
Yeah.
There's no crying in software programming.
Yeah, no room for that. Now
In all reality, that's all we do is just cry. Yeah, no, yeah, and then I was talking to Major, and he's like, I got nothing for you.
Yeah. Like,
you guys,
hey, thanks.
would you guys just cut me some slack here?
Yeah. Like, yeah, just tie me up and leave me here on the roadway, It's like
Just
real.
let me lay here, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess the Snap-on truck driving by will just have to run me over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just be down here in the highway for a while. But yeah, so after all that complications, all those complications, I was just I saw the second grade, it was a B. I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I can live with that.
I'm done. We're good.
As long as it's not like a D or an F, and be like, yeah, so Chip, I know you walked me through this and tried to help me out, but I futzed it up. Is there like a third attempt I could do?
Yeah. Yeah. You were saying some things, and I was thinking to myself, what can I do to help? And I thought about like going into it and seeing where you made your mistakes. And so I did think about doing that. I was a little surprised to learn that but it made sense that you got a second attempt, but you just don't know what's wrong. Obviously, so I think that's pretty good policy. You get a second attempt. They're not going to tell you what you got wrong, because obviously that would give away the farm pretty much. It's like,
yeah, I mean, basically it's multiple question. You can only you can only screw it up so many times. But yeah, I would have I just got I was like, oh, okay, well, I can't see which ones I missed, so oh well, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I survived it. I was happy with the B. I didn't fail you, so.
Yeah. I was glad that this version of the curriculum allowed for that. I thought that was very encouraging to know that a student could have a second attempt. These tests are pretty much determinant, meaning it's one way or the other, and so giving a second attempt I thought was very, very good policy.
Yeah, the PRG when they do the quizzes like this, the PRG ones, they don't give you that second reprieve. They they pretty much whatever score you get.
Stick it to you right then.
Yeah, you gotta live with that, you know. And so I know this one of the last PRGs that I was in, I would get like, you know, I got like 30 out of 80 or something like that.
Whoa.
Or you know, and it was just like I was totally lost. You know, I was just, you know, fighting for. I ended up I still got an A- in the class, but
Wow.
I worked for that A-.
Good recovery.
Right? I fought for that A-. So
Wow, that's good. Good work.
yeah, there's just times where, you know, you get really frustrated because it's like, you are messing with my grade point average.
Yeah. This is personal.
Yeah, I draw the line when you mess with my when you mess with my GPA.
That's right. It's like, okay.
I liked you right up until the point where you you didn't let me have a second chance with my test.
Yeah, it's very much a conditional relationship here.
Yeah. I can either like you or not like you.
Yeah.
This is how it's going to work.
Very clear expectations in this relationship.
Exactly. I'm totally fine with my grades when they're like in the A area, but when they get close to the B's, I start to sweat.
Yeah. Certain things start to happen that you just can't claim and totally own and can't be held accountable for. So.
Right? I just start to break down, you know, and at some points it's just like, all I need is an 89.9 and I got an A-. I mean, that's what you start to shoot for, and you get like I go for all the daily checkpoints.
Yeah. It's like, okay, I know how to rig this system. Just stand back.
Yeah, we can do this, you know. Yeah. Like if I get this. So yeah, there's a lot of plotting going on when I do bad on tests. There's like, okay, well, I'm gonna need this to get my A-, you know.
Well, this one is going to be worth 100 points. So
I thought it was supposed to be 80. What are we increasing points for?
You know what? You're right. 4 times 20 used to be 100, but now it is. You're right. It's now 80.
You're killing me, Chip.
Yeah. They changed that. That's 4 times 20 did used to be 100 until I don't know how they did it, but you're right.
Is that new core math?
Yeah. Yeah, it's new math.
It's the new core math.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you got to get it. You got to get with it.
Yeah. All right. Well, can we just make a new class out of that?
Yeah. I think I heard that they're working on the curriculum on that one.
You're right. I'll make sure I'm graduated by then.
Yeah. Yeah. So that one's up and coming. That'll be a required class.
I'll save that for my next degree.
Your next degree. All right.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. Let's begin. This question is based upon video, understanding and importing bitmap and vector files. So bitmap, you know the difference between bitmap and vector?
Okay, so vector is the cleaner lines. Bitmap basically is like, you know, the square pixelated look, sort of, right? Sure.
So here we go, a scale of 1 to 10. Vector data, let's see, vector file. Let me see if we can display it. Display Adobe, I don't see Adobe Illustrator. Vector file. Wonder if we're going to see any possible data here. that would kind of show you what the vectors look like within a vector file.
Between bitmap and...
I was kind of hoping that we could see some content of the file itself. So the vector file is a set of vectors, and vectors are kind of like mathematical representations of data. And so if you had two options here, you could either mathematically represent a circle using a couple variables, like how wide is it and how big's the stroke, how far is the middle, things like that, just certain attributes like that. And that's how you convey that, versus we're going to give you an image, and like here. So this, for example, is an image, and this happens to be either bitmap or vector. Now, the way they distinguish between the two is a bitmap will give you information for every single pixel, pretty much. Sometimes they get a little fancy compressing it by saying, well, I've actually got 800 purple in this row, and then we've got 13 or whatever, 50 white, and so on. But they definitely count, they document every single pixel, and obviously when it changes like it does through here, it's going to be a little bit larger of a file. But the bitmap describes every single pixel, whereas a vector file really can describe more or less objects within your drawing. And so if you have the ability to describe objects in your drawing versus every single pixel, every single pixel is a bitmap, but describing the objects in your drawing, that's a vector file format. And the nice thing about the vector file format is just by changing some of the parameters to your vectors, such as radius or length or variables like that, the software will dynamically expand it or contract it, whatever, and it makes it more clear. Now, bitmap, on the other hand, is the only information we have in a bitmap file is it tells you the color of each pixel. And now if I come along and say, well, I actually want you to be twice as big as, I want you to scale. I want this image to be twice as big as it currently is. And the pixel says, well, wait a minute. That means I'm just one pixel right now. And if we go twice as big, that means I've got to be 2 pixels, but I only have information for 1 pixel here. And so why are you doing this to me? You're doubling the number of pixels that I need to cover, and I only have enough information for 1 pixel. So they kind of extrapolate and fudge, and they come up with that other pixel. But that is what is called pixelation. Pixelation is the extrapolation of these pixels. Let's say I expanded it to 4 times its size. I had like an inch by inch bitmap image, and I wanted to make it a 2 by 2, 2 inch by 2 inch, and so that would be 4 times that amount. That would, if we did that, each bitmap, each pixel in the original bitmap would say, oh my gosh, now I've got to cover 4 pixels instead of just 1 pixel, and I don't, obviously I don't want to just be my same color in all 4 of those pixels, and maybe I need to think about changing because I'm going to be transitioning between what I currently am and what my next door neighbor pixel is currently. And, so anyways, that's what's going on with pixelation. All that kind of, that extrapolation of data when you stretch it or constrain it, is what's going on. So that's why bitmap is not as versatile as a vector. So here, this original image is probably maybe 1/10 or so, and when you make it bigger, now we have 1 pixel. They duplicated the 1 pixel in, let's say, 4 pixels. So this looks like we've got one color per pixel, but in reality, this is each of those little squares is probably something like 4 pixels by 4 pixels. So there in this case, it definitely did. It just took its same color and said, okay, if you want me 4 times as big, I'm not going to extrapolate. I am not going to invent colors. I'm just going to be myself, and I'll be just bigger. I'm going to be my one color. So that's what pixelation is. So you can see it can get pretty rough, when it's pixelated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, a bitmap is, of course, pixelation. So it's basically stretching out. It's raster size. It's raster sized.
Rasterizing.
Yeah, rasterizing the picture. The picture is rasterized. Now, if we want more like the original of that row there, which would be the vector.
Yeah, that's not.
That there's fighting actions.
Yeah. I think I've learned that. I'm sufficiently concerned. So.
Yeah. Don't make me come down there.
Yeah. All right. Now I'm not going to do any pixelating this time. I'm just going to
just roll with the punches.
Go with it. Yeah. So the question is based on from the video, understanding importing bitmap and vector files. So bitmap would come from what program would you create bitmaps in? Do you know?
Yeah, Photoshop.
Very good. And what program would you create vector files in?
Illustrator.
Very good. Awesome. In this video, we learned how to bring images and vector files into Animate. And when they're brought in, when a bitmap file is brought into Animate, it actually interprets it into and imports it into a vector file format. So just in the process of importing a bitmap, Adobe Animate says, okay, guys, here in this house, you're going to become a vector. And so it creates a vector format out of the bitmap. But if the vector is to begin with, it happen with Adobe Illustrator, then you're even better off. One of the ways to do that is to go to File, Import to Stage. The image shows up in the stage as well as in the library. True or false, it is possible to have an asset, image, or vector file in the library without it being on the stage. Is that true or false?
That is true. It goes straight to the library.
Yeah, you can have it go straight to the library. You have the option of importing to stage, and that's another option. And when that happens, it goes to both places, because everything that's on the stage will be in the library, but not everything in the library needs to be on the stage. So.
And so that's basically what I'm doing with my assignment, right? I'm just putting it in the library.
That's right.
Okay.
File, import. You can import to stage or import to library. And so things that are in the library don't necessarily need to be on the stage. And the things that are on the stage have to be represented in the library. So when it comes out of the library and you drag it out here, it actually becomes an instance of that which is sitting in the library. It's kind of like you make a copy of it, bring it out here on the stage, and you can do that multiple times. Each one would be considered its own instance. They are unique in that they come from the same parent, quote unquote, and they're like sibling objects here on the stage. So if you change the parent, you end up the symbol from which it came, and then all of the symbols inherit that. So they retain their relationship to that which gave them life out here on the stage. Mm-hmm.
A new symbol is born.
Yes. Yeah. You've heard a star is born? Well, a symbol is born.
Yeah, a new symbol is born.
New symbol is born. Yes, it's almost sounding like Christmas type.
Yeah.
talk,
Yeah.
symbolic.
Either that or it's asking its parents, how are symbols made?
Yes. And you just
Where
want
do
to say,
symbols
don't go there. Not now.
come- Yeah. Go
When you
ask your
grow up.
mother.
So, number 2, this question is based from the video Understanding Importing Bitmap in the same video. And this video, we learned how to bring images and vector files into Animate. One of the ways to do that is go to File, Import to Library. The files show up in the library. To get an asset from the library to the stage, what's the mechanism to get one from?
You click and drag.
Click and drag. Very good. Our asset. Library. Use count 1. Oh.
Because it's already on the stage, or
Insert layer. Use count 2. Insert layer. Use count 3. So you can see this says I've had 3 offspring. And when if we double click on this, and we know we are working on the original symbol because we double click on it, it says symbol 1 right there. And so we are actually focused on the symbol that's in the library when we make these changes. And for example, change out a color. It looks like we're editing 1. Excuse me. Excuse me.
bless you.
Thank you.
Bless you.
Double sneeze. Thank you.
Woo.
Double thank you. So it looks like we're just editing 1, but in reality, we're editing the symbol that's here. And when we change its color, and if we were to change its fill, it would change to all its sibling objects. And so that's a relationship between these things. Click and drag the asset from the library to the stage. Very good. All right. Number 3. Same thing. Bitmap images, true or false. If you have an image bitmap that needs to be large and a small thumbnail of the same image, it is best practice to bring in just the large image and duplicate it and scale it down for the small thumbnail of that image.
I want to say true, but does it really matter?
So, the question becomes, which of these is the best practice? And
well, I mean, going from a large image to a small image is way better than going from small to large, because if you go small to large, you're going to stretch the image and it'll look weird.
Yeah. Technically, any stretching, any image resizing is kind of bad. Just any kind. You're right. Going from small to large is going to look worse, probably, than going from large to small. And you might think you're protecting yourself from the pixelation that would take place. But if if it's possible, to begin with the large image that has been created outside the program, and begin with also the small image that has been created outside the program, and just bring those in as is. Things will work better because you don't delegate to Adobe Animate the task of doing any scaling. You just let it respond to the original data that it imported, and you would let whatever program it might be, Adobe Illustrator or Photoshop in the case of a bitmap, that would own the task of saving out both the large version as well as the thumbnail. So your goal is to have that already done before you bring it in to and import it.
Now here's a question though. If Animate already puts it as a vector, then the odds of it pixelating would be slimmer, wouldn't it?
I agree.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I had that.
You got it right. Just by importing it, it said, hey, I've got to make this a vector. And once a vector, it scales better.
Yeah, it doesn't pixelate. So, but even still, you would want, so basically I would want to import a large image and a smaller image instead of trying to scale it in Animate.
Yes, it is. You'll be one step ahead by allowing the original program to has the raw, that where the raw file existed, that it therefore would be that would be tasked, the raw file where it originated with, whether it be Photoshop or Illustrator, and let that do the scaling, starting with the raw file format. Because frankly, when a file is published, and whether it as a bitmap, there is actually an extrapolation going on right then and there, because the drawing program is doing its best at managing what you're drawing, but when you save it out as a JPEG or a PNG or a GIF, I think it's a GIF. No, it's a GIF, graphic.
Yeah, it's GIF.
GIF. That in and of itself is a translation. And so you kind of want to minimize the translations going on. If you go from a raw file to an output bitmap file, and then you take that bitmap file, import it into, becomes a vector file, and then you want to size it. You just, each time you're going through a translation or a transformation of data, and then that's why you want to minimize the different hops of transformation, translation. Minimize the hops. So going from the program itself to just one hop, meaning just let's go out to a JPEG, and then do a large one and then do a small one. There you've retained as much information as possible, and in that way you minimize the number of hops and conversions and resizings. So yeah. Let's see. So, 4. the question is based from the video. This question is based on the video, understanding and importing bitmap and vector files found in week 2. Same one. True or false, if you want to be able to scale a vector image without losing resolution, select maintain editable paths and effects in the pop-up dialog.
That one I am not sure of. I don't remember having to do that.
All right, let's look here. File, and then when we do an image resize on that, that gives you that option. And let me see the resize. See, I have to do an import in order to show that. So, why don't I just, the maintain editable paths and effects is a way for you to ensure that the vector qualities are retained, because paths and effects, that is saying, okay, the vector that the internal representation of this is a vector image, and we're retaining that information. And here it's saying
okay, yeah. So I have seen that. It's asking you to maintain the ability to edit. Do you want to keep the ability to edit the import? Is that?
Yeah, it retains the opportunity for you to interact with the vector information that it when it did its import, and it allows you to retain your ability to modify the vectors in a way that enhances your ability to do an import.
Okay, so that would be like that would tie it into question 3. Let's just say we did want to take a large image and shrink it down. We would click the yes, maintain the editables, because instead of bringing in a small importing a small image is just not, you don't want to do that. You so that you have the ability to downsize the large import, or even make the larger import the ability to make it larger if you wanted to. Am I going in the right direction with that?
Yeah, it's really retaining the current representation of that vector format and enabling you to retain. It's kind of like you're retaining the right to have it retain the format that the original format when it created, when it imported, so that you're in a position to then it's just it puts it into the vector shapes and translation into the best representation, the vector representation that puts you in a position to make changes and edit and animate, or edit it for tweening and things like that. It's kind of enhances your vector representation, and it actually helps for blending, filters, opacity. It's all maintained, and so it keeps it rich, the information that it originally saved about your vector, and then puts you in a position to to modify it. And so that's what it's talking about.
Okay.
Retaining your right to. It's kind of like being read your rights. You know, you have
You
the right.
have the right to retain a lawyer, kind of thing.
Yes.
All right.
You have the right to edit this and so on, and so it's basically saying you can retain your rights and to make the modifications you want to make. So let's look at number 5 here. This question is based from the video, understanding and importing bitmap and vector files. Same one. What is the keyboard shortcut to activate the transform tool?
The Option T, or on a PC, it's Control T.
Very good. Very good. Okay. See, we're on number 5.
6.
6 now.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let me just double check that. Check this out. See?
Oh, I was wrong. That's uncool. So it's Q.
Got it. Okay, good. Okay, number 6. This question is based on the course HTML5 Canvas, WebGL, Chapter 2, found in Week 2's Lena.com. This course covers many aspects of working with HTML5 Canvas projects. In Chapter 2 of this course, they cover animating HTML5 video. True or false? When you bring in multiple items onto the stage, they will all be placed in the same layer. In order to animate any of these objects, they do not need to be on their own layer.
They need to be on their own layer, but they'll be placed on the same layer, but they need to be on their own layers.
All right.
So then that would be false.
Okay.
They do need to be. Is that?
Yeah, when you're doing an animation, you can't do 2 animations at the same time on different objects on the same layer. It's just,
yeah. So I was going by that last part right there. They do need to be whatever it's saying at the first part, blah blah blah. But this last part makes it false because they do need to be on their own layer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good. Yeah, it's like, oh, I got all these objects on the same layer. Oh, let's animate them.
It's gonna look at you like, you want to do what?
Yeah. It's like, say what?
I don't understand.
Yeah. We have a communication issue.
Yeah, I'm not getting what you want.
Okay, so in order to animate an object or a group of objects with a motion tween, it has to be converted to a blank.
A symbol.
On its own layer. Very good. So when it goes from just a regular drawing object, it kind of gets a promotion, for lack of a better word.
Huh.
And it can be promoted to one of 3 different types of symbols, depending on the type that you want it to be. And so the analogy is like going to school and learning something and coming home and going into the career of being a movie clip, or going into the career of being a button, or going to the career of just being a graphic. And in a symbol, when a drawing object becomes a symbol, it has to make a choice between which of those are going to be its career. And in doing so, it brings in and adds metadata. It adds properties. And so then after that, when you click on it, when you make it into a depending on the type of object that you promote it to, you get your choice right here. I can become a movie clip, button, or graphic.
Oh.
And so those are its options for its career. Each of these options have a different set of data that's associated with the object. Movie clips are the most sophisticated, and once you make your choice of this from going from becoming a symbol, then you you determine the properties associated with that. So this is the extra information, the metadata that is becomes part of this of your of the object itself. So depending on which one you do, determines exactly what. So so it's object, group of objects becomes a symbol. Okay. Okay. Question number 8. In assembling the scene, they talk about FPS or frames per second. When you want to make an animation run 15 seconds long and your frame rate is set to 24 frames per second, how many frames do you need to have in your timeline?
Let me do the math really quick. That wasn't the math, that was my phone. Oh, thank you. 360. So you basically times the 15 seconds by the 24 frames
Per second.
per second.
Right. Okay. This course covers me up. In examining the skeletal character, you learned about the bone tool. In order to create an armature with the bone tool, an armature is basically kind of like a working set of connected objects. That's what you would call an armature. And the motion of one of the objects impacts and the connected object. And so when you move one part of it, the other one responds to that. So it's kind of like an accumulative effect upon the extremities of your armature. So it accumulates. The motion of one will affect those that are connected to it. Different sections, pieces, parts you want to animate of your character need to be blank.
Ungrouped.
Okay. So in this let's see, I think I'll just do file new, and I'll choose ActionScript 3.0 just to be ready. So and so forth. So the question is, these component parts, first of all, when we just draw a line, it's just a dumb, no offense, but it's a dumb line. Dumb. So
I don't take offense to being called a dumb line. I mean, it might, but...
Yeah, that's a good point. That was very clear. Don't want you to take offense that I'm calling this line dumb.
Oh, okay. I mean, if it's just going to let, sit there, then, well, yeah, it's a dumb line.
Yeah.
But hey.
I might be telling the truth about this line, but that's not.
We don't know. We don't want to judge.
Yeah.
We're not judging the line.
Yeah. So that's why I'm talking to the line. I'm saying no offense, but you're dumb.
You're a little slow today. It's cool.
Yeah. You're not doing much. You're not worth much to me. I have to convert you to a symbol for you to have any value to me.
There you go.
So the question is, which symbol do I choose to convert it to? And is it going to become a button? Well, what do you think?
No, I mean, it's. It would be. It would be. Hang on, real quick. Sorry. It would be. It wouldn't be a graphic. It would be more like a movie clip because we're putting motion to it. Is that
Now you're talking.
okay? Hang on, real quick. Sorry. Sorry, the dogs are getting released out to the backyard and they get kind of spastic.
We just need to apply the bone tool to them.
Yeah. Those are called cookies in our house.
Uh-huh. The old bone tool.
They,
Take care of this.
they get cookies when they come back in, so they get all excited that they get to go outside.
Oh, wow. That's great. Great Pavlov's training there.
Right?
Or
They
whatever.
actually have to sit still for longer than 30 seconds to get their treat too.
Wow. That's pretty good.
Well, we lost a couple of fingers a couple of times when you don't give it to them too quickly. So
Yeah.
we had to settle that resolution.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, getting them back in from outside this usually not worth a finger.
yeah, right. No, I'll give you a cookie, but I won't give you one of my fingers. So
Yeah.
we had to
Yeah, I
figure
think
out.
that was probably pretty good negotiations there.
Right. I thought it was nice and subtle.
Yeah. So this thing's going to be moving, so it's got to have a little more sophisticated properties than a button or a graphic. Therefore, you want to animate your character needs to be
A movie clip.
the most sophisticated thing up there.
That would be the white tie of animate. Is that, or the black tie of the animate sophisticated?
Yes, it has. And when it walks into the room, the button stands up, the graphic stands up in attention.
And salutes and says,
That's right.
"Attention on deck."
That's right. All hands or legs or arms.
Yeah, or lines, dumb lines,
Yes.
smart lines.
All attention.
Yeah.
In examining the skeletal character, you learn about the bone tool. The keyframes that are created in an armature are called. So think about it. Remember the value of keyframes in an animation, and each of them, wherever you have a black dot, means it's like a snapshot. It's like, okay, this thing was here at this time. So if you're doing that with a connected skeleton, what do you think? The keyframes themselves are snapshots of where that skeleton is positioned at that moment. And so, do you have any idea which one, each of these snapshots for a skeleton
would be a pose?
That's right. Would be considered a pose. Yep. It's like we have a posing skeleton. Yeah, it's very Halloween-y.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got it, with one hand on the hip and one hand on the head posing.
Yeah. And you've probably seen, in fact, let's see, the dancing skeleton.
Oh, there's one that goes is dancing across the dock or something like that. I've seen that one.
Yeah, I've seen, is that this one? No.
Oh, that one's kind of cute.
Yeah. Let's see, there's one that, Um, definitely some posing going on there.
Yeah, I like that one. That one's got. Then there's the one with the sombrero on. That one probably has some mariachi going. Oh, it just has a hat on.
Makes you think of Toy Story. What's the name of the
Oh, Woody. Yeah.
movie? Yeah. So yeah, definitely armatures being involved here.
Oh, those are synchronized. Hey now. My
This
goodness.
is 3D, so I'm guessing you could do something like that with WebGL,
Okay, now that's cool.
possibly.
Yeah. That's kind of cool, yeah, though.
Yeah.
That's how I dance.
Well, 3Ds are quite cool.
Yeah, they are. You know, I always liked seeing those kind of gifts that they move like that, and then you're using animate and you're like, I can do that now.
There's one that I was looking for that kind of he loops around, turns around when he's dancing, but that would be 3D, and we're just doing 2D. So, you learn how to animate. Just let's see, we got the poses. Yeah.
Yeah, we're on 11.
All right. So,
You learn to
in
animate.
animating the scene, I'm watching your bedtime, so I better speed up. In animating the scene, you learn how to animate and adjust the scene assets to create an interesting but not distracting background. A trick to make it so you don't click on a layer, you don't want to touch it, to lock all the layers except the one you're working on. True or false?
You would lock your background.
Yeah. And even any layer, so that, I mean, if like you've got 10 layers and you're working on an animation and you've got objects on 9 of them and a background on the 10th one, and let's say you're working on one of the objects, you can actually lock all of them, all the layers, so all those objects are if you click on them, they don't get selected. You're just basically turning off auto select on that.
Yeah, I've learned that the hard way a couple of times.
Okay.
So I make sure I lock my stuff now.
Yeah.
And then I'll forget, and I'll try to edit it, and it gets ugly because then I can't edit it, and then I realize I locked it.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's see. Plug in. In animating the scene, you learn how to animate and adjust the scene assets to create an interesting but not distracting background. To change the lightness, darkness of a symbol, click on the symbol. And in the Properties panel, click on the blank category to access brightness from the drop-down menu.
Excuse me, that would be the filters, I would believe. It's either that or color effect.
And let's see.
Actions.
Okay, so I converted it to a symbol, and then I clicked on it to select it, and now I'm in the Properties panel, and in order to access the brightness from the drop-down menu, what's the section that I need to go in?
Brian.
You clicked on color effects.
All right.
Sorry, apparently it's raining outside and the dogs came in and shook all over the house.
Oh man, no cookies for them.
Well, it's kind of ironic because my partner's eating cookies without me, so I guess she deserved it. All right, I'm gonna die in my sleep tonight.
All right. Well, make sure you leave me a few things in your will.
I leave you my PC.
Oh, yikes. Okay. I receive your PC with reluctance. No.
Oh, there you go.
With prejudice.
With prejudice? No. Go lay down. You're wet. Go on. Go stinky. Go stinky. No. Go lay down. Go bed. That's not bed. Oh, you stink. Go away. Okay. That's gross. Nothing like the smell of wet dog at night. All right. Now that the whole entire house is wet.
Yeah, they brought that in with them.
Yeah.
So let's see. Only way to move. Okay. In animating scene, you learn how to animate and adjust the scene to create an interesting but not distracting background. The only way to move an object around on the stage is with the selection tool. There are no controls in the properties panel to do this.
No, it's in the tools. Right? I'm looking at it.
So.
Oh, it's asking. Well, because you can change with the XY radius. So yeah, apparently it is in properties. There isn't an alternate in the properties.
Good. How'd you get that?
There was this arrow that was pointing towards properties.
Uh-huh.
And I drew the conclusion that I was looking at the screen.
That there was some connection there?
Yeah, there was a connection, between the two, the arrow and the properties panel.
Okay, I think that was a pretty good conclusion.
I work on it every so often.
Okay, question 14. In animating the scene, you learned how to animate and adjust the scene assets to create an interesting but not distracting background. Quick and easy way to see all of the shapes on all visible layers is to view them in outline mode. To turn outline mode on in the timeline, click on blank above all the layers. Outline.
The eyeball. That would be the outline mode. Or is it, well, that square is the keyframe. Stinky ass dog. Oh, okay, so it's that rectangle.
How did you guess that?
Well, again, I don't want to assume or anything, but there was this little arrow that was just sitting right there, and it just, called to me.
Something saying to you, trust the arrow.
Follow the arrow. Go lay down, Stinky. Okay.
This question is based from the course Up and Running in the video Creating Shapes in Emergent Object Drawing Modes found in weeks 2 lynda.com playlist. Merge mode connects things that are alike and they kind of glob together like jello or jelly or slime or whatever, kind of globs together. And the objects are like they're socially kind of unacceptable to each other. They don't connect. I mean, you can put them on top of each other and you can pull them apart and they don't blend, they don't mold, they don't merge. but they do have more information. When you're in object drawing mode, these objects are definitely have more information. The reason why they have more information is because they need to be able to distinguish themselves from other very similar things around it. Whereas merge drawing mode says, no, I don't care if you're like me, I'm gonna merge with you. We're gonna become one because you have the same color, stroke and fill. We're gonna unite. So that's the difference between these things. These guys, independent little things. These things, let's unite. If we have the same stroke and fill, and we're going to unite. So that's the difference between these two. This video covers working with merge and object drawing modes. Properly using these different modes will make your character and scene development more effective. Matching on the icon in the toolbar that shows you whether or not you are in merged or object drawing mode is subtle. Match the icon state with the type of drawing mode you will draw with. So, I'm going to show you how to, let's see.
Object drawing.
Okay. One of those little things that are one of those things you just kind of like always remember to forget.
Right?
Yeah.
I remember playing with those buttons before, but I don't remember what I was doing with them. To play with the magnet and the... Oops.
See, this is the new merge drawing mode.
Oh, the little... so there's a magnet that says snap to objects.
Yeah, no. Object drawing. You can turn it on, turn it off. Yeah. Okay. That was right. So, so that's how you go between merge and drawing mode. Merge and object drawing mode. Merge drawing mode is that A or B. Object drawing mode is that A or B.
Oh. Well, that is, let's see, it's blank, so that's A would be the merging.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you figure that out because I'm watching my time, and I'm gonna
yeah, I'll have to play with that.
Yeah, I'm gonna delegate that one to you. Okay, video covers. Let's see, make your character scene. When you draw an object and have it selected on the stage, if the property inspector shows it's a shape, that means it is a.
When you draw an object and have it selected on the stage, if the property inspector shows it is a shape, that means it is it's an object drawing shape. Oh wait, no. It looks like that's a merged drawing shape, or drawing object.
Okay.
Oh, that's a shape. Oval.
See the difference?
Yeah. So the
Anyways, I'm gonna move on.
yeah.
Okay.
Shape.
Number 16 shows it's a shape. Question: which is
I'm polishing off the condom.
see the difference right here?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm speeding it up, picking up the pace.
Knees to chest. Knees to chest.
Okay. And if it shows as a drawing object, object drawing shape, that might be a good clue right there.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 18. Let's see. Question is, when you use the polygon tool, what are the different options you can select in the pop-up window? When you click on the options button found under the tool setting category, select all that apply. So
when you use the polygon tool, what are the different options you can select? Polygon.
in the pop-up window, when you click on the options button found under the tool setting category.
You can do
drawing object. Okay, I'm watching my time. I'm just determined to quit here.
yeah, I got it because I clicked on it also. So
Okay,
I would just select all the ones that are in there.
that apply.
Okay.
Number 19. This question is based from course up and running, creating in the example below is demonstrating that that an area of some drawn shapes have been selected and moved. You can only do this when you draw in blank.
This can't be done with just selecting part of the shape. Object drawing, no text provided. I didn't know you could do that with just half a shape. I'm gonna have to research that one.
Yeah. So when you're object drawing, you're kind of like, hey guy, you will not divide us. We are one. We are independent, and we are atomic. You cannot have no right to cut us up. Merge drawing mode says, hey man, whatever, do what you want, man. I'm just a drawing here on the page. If you feel like moving part of me over there, kind of like a scarecrow, in the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, a little bit of. I'm a little over there.
Yeah.
A little
like,
bit
hey,
part of me is over there. Yeah.
Like whatever, It's like, let's roll with it, man.
Yeah.
So, but object drawing mode is no way, man. Object drawing mode is we are one. We are united. We do not.
We don't want to be divided.
That's right. So here, let's see, you can show or hide all layers except the one you want to work on by right-clicking on the layer's icon and choosing show all others or hide all others. This also works for locking and unlocking layers with the lock icon too. So
that is true.
That guy, this guy, these two work. Okay, time's up.
Time's up, and you have 3 minutes to spare. Let's go. No.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, so I'm open to a meeting tomorrow if you want. If you have any questions on the assignment, just text me, and if I'm available, I'll do it. I'll be happy to do that. See, tomorrow morning at 8, I got my son's flag football, and 10, I'm donating blood, and then at 4, I'm going to be busy from 4 till 10 or so. So anytime between 11 and 4 would be.
Yeah, I'm tied up in between all of those other times. So I believe it's just fend for myself tomorrow. I think I've covered everything that and don't have to worry about barring a crash of system.
All right. 2 minutes to spare.
Sweet. Are we going to meet on Monday or?
Yeah, that would be good. Monday evening. Does that work?
Monday at 5 or?
Yeah, probably. Let's see, 5. What's the date? Is that Halloween?
That's Halloween, yeah.
Halloween night. Okay.
We don't have to meet on Monday. I'm totally cool with not meeting on Monday.
I probably would vote to get in an hour if we can. So
okay.
Let's see. So let's pencil in 5 to 6.
You got it. I will put that in the computer.
All right, perfect.
Awesome. You have a great weekend,
right.
and
Thanks,
I'll
Chris.
talk to you on Monday.
Sounds good.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.